Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here. I wanted to take just a minute here, starting off the new week, to share a couple of thoughts on the most recent Game of Thrones episode. I'm assuming, of course, if you're watching this, that you are a fan or you follow the series pretty closely. And I'll preface this by saying that I have not read any of the books. I started reading the first book, and for whatever reason, I just could not get into it. I don't know what it was exactly about it, but totally different thing with the show. I really like the show a lot. I kind of jumped into the party a little bit late. It was probably around the third or fourth season, maybe, when I kind of jumped in and then binge watched it and got caught up on what was happening. And I've really enjoyed the way the story has unfolded thus far, including the first two episodes of this final season, season eight. But I did have what I think is kind of an interesting thought about what would have made episode 8.2, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, maybe a little bit more interesting or just a little bit more engaging. So, in my mind, the first two episodes have been fine, but not great of this final season. Really, they've kind of existed to confirm a lot of plot points that most everyone, as far as the audience goes, knows about, excuse me, or knew about. So, to me, it felt like, and my wife is, I think, kind of the same mind to a certain extent. It felt like things have been just a little bit more plotting so far this season, especially given that there are only, I think, six total episodes to work with. Now there are four left, and it's just taking a long time to get to a point to where things feel like they're starting to really advance. And I get that they had to bring everybody to Winterfell to kind of put the pieces in place for what's going to happen in the final handful of episodes. But there was one point last night during, again, the episode titled "A Night of the Seven Kingdoms," focused on Bree, or titled by Bree, or in relation to Bree, I should say. Sorry for the repetition. About her finally being recognized for her prowess as a warrior and her skill in battle and all that sort of stuff. So, but there was a moment there where Jaime Lannister is knighting her. Right, he's using his ability as a knight to bestow that title upon her. And if you're watching that scene and you notice carefully, there's a quick shot right before Bree is knighted where Jaime kind of really tightens his grip on the sword. Now, when I saw this, and I should preface all of this by saying spoilers, I'll put a note in the description about that and in the title just so everybody's aware. When I saw him, tighten his grip on the sword, I kind of sat up in my chair a little bit and thought, okay, something really cool is about to happen. My take on this and what I think would have been maybe a little more interesting than kind of following the plot line that we've all sort of expected at this point, which is to say that there have been these character arcs for Jaime and Tyrion and some other characters that have kind of gone as expected in a good way. I mean, they're characters that we have grown to love and like and want to see do well for the most part, I think, in terms of the coming finale and the battle that's going to happen. But I thought for a split second they were going to do kind of an old school Game of Thrones thing and have Jaime decapitate Bree. Now, I know that in a lot of ways that would have flown in the face of their relationship and all the time they spent together earlier in the show. But it would have been kind of an interesting turn of events, especially given a couple of things. One of which would have been Tyrion's meeting with Cersei when everyone converged to talk about the White Walker threat and everything that was heading that way. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Jaime had done that. He's got the sword. He's going to knight Bree. He chops off her head. And then anyone else in the room who was drinking the wine that Tyrion was pouring suddenly just dropped dead to the floor in kind of a Joffrey-esque way. With the exception of Tormund, who was drinking his own mead or whatever it was he had in his horn there. And of course, maybe he could have fought his way out of that situation to go tell, Jon Snow what was happening. And of course, he would have been enraged because he loves Bree, obviously, as they're sort of building that plot line. But if some sort of secret alliance between Jaime and Cersei and Tyrion had been revealed, that would have been, in my mind, a really, really cool shakeup of things. Then it would have been very Game of Thrones-esque. It would have been the sort of thing that a lot of people would not have expected, including myself, and that's why I thought for a split second, okay, something crazy is about to happen here because it's been kind of overdue given the long hiatus of the show. The fact that a lot didn't happen in episode 8.1 where they kind of brought everyone together in terms of just, a lot of action and things really moving forward in unexpected ways. So I think that would have been a cool alternate route to go because it would have just done another bit of peril into what was already a really tense situation where everyone at Winterfell was waiting for the White Walkers to show up. So I'm not going to suggest in any way, shape, or form that, the way the story is unfolding is bad, right, at all. I mean, I really like the characters. I like what they've done with the show. I have faith that the writers are going to do a good job wrapping things up as we get here into the final stretch. But man, I really think that would have been a cool thing, and it would have almost been akin to something like the Red Wedding if they could have done it, and it would have been, in my mind, again, very Game of Thrones-esque. Because to me, it's a show that I initially really got into because it wasn't afraid to kill off major characters, at the drop of a hat, just to show you that this is a very dangerous world where anything can happen. So, and again, I think establishing that the Lannister family would have been every bit as devious as they appeared to be early on in the show would have been an interesting turn of events and a good thing that could have made for that much more of a tense final couple of episodes. So just my thoughts on that. If you agree or disagree, I'd be really curious to hear about that in the comments. And if you like this sort of video and like these kinds of, bits of reflection, about things like Game of Thrones or, cinema or whatever it is that's coming up, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video. But I'll be curious to hear your thoughts about that. And again, I don't want to suggest that I have any kind of, writerly prowess that would trump what the showrunners have done. It's been a great show so far, but I think it was just, in my mind, a little bit of a missed opportunity. We'll see what happens in the final couple of episodes as they unfold. But let me know what you think about that, and I'll be back again soon with another video.